Welcome to the jungle, a place with many animals, but there is one most famous of all, which are monkeys. They come in various shapes and sizes, but wait, oh shit, we gotta get out of here. Oh, banana! Well, what we witnessed there was a gorilla from the Kong family, and he's specifically known as Donkey Kong. Now, Donkey Kong Country is a game released by Rareware in 1994 for the SNES. It is considered revolutionary for the time for having 3D graphics. Or at least kinda. It was more like bit-crushing 3D models, but still impressive for the time. What this game also did was bring back the arcade legend himself, Donkey Kong. And today, we are going to be looking at his game in many ways and shapes and forms to see if it's actually as good as we remember. Now, let's start off with the plot. To put it bluntly, the plot is that King K. Rool, the king of the Kremlings, has colonized Kong Island, taking all its natural habitat. And while all this, they also steal Donkey Kong's banana stash. So Donkey Kong and his nephew wannabe, I guess, Diddy Kong, embark on a journey to get their banana back. Well, let's be honest, when we play video games, we care about the gameplay, not the plot. So how is the gameplay? Well, you can jump, roll, run, and throw barrels at your enemies, cause that's what an average NYC gorilla does, I guess. Of course, there are more complex things you can do with these moves, like rolling off a cliff and then jumping to reach certain items, which is quite unique. Now, both Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong are slightly different with these controls. Donkey Kong can defeat stronger enemies just by jumping on them, which Diddy can't, but he's slightly slower, which can be hard in platforming bits. And Diddy is, well, the opposite to Donkey Kong. And gonna be honest, he's the better one. Yeah, Diddy can't jump on certain enemies, but getting more speed is definitely better in like overall more platforming bits. Now, one of the negative things about the gameplay are the water levels. Yes, there's only 4 of them, but unlike every other old game where the issue is that they're bullshit hard, the Donkey Kong Country ones are just boring. All you do in these is slowly float up and descend. It doesn't really have anything to do with the game's mechanics. Like, yeah, Croctopus Chase is like a decent enough level just because you kind of have to control the way you float and descend, but that's it. The only good thing about these levels is the music, which you're currently listening to, but we'll talk more about the OST later on in this video. Now, this game has other gameplay styles with the help from the Animal Buddies. Animal Buddies appear in certain levels to help you and stuff, but instead of talking about them in the normal fashion way, let's just do a mini ranking of them. At number 5 is Squawks. Now, he's a pretty popular animal buddy, but that's because of the later games where he actually feels like an animal buddy. But in this game, he's just a level gimmick. He has a lamp which helps you see. That's it. Plus, in the original SNES version, every time you turned around you get flashbang, which, you know, that isn't really helping. At number 4 is Enguarde. While he makes the water levels faster, overall he's pretty mediocre. I mean, you get to kill the water enemies with his charging move, but then again, this is the water levels we're talking about, they're incredibly mid. At number 3 is Expresso. Now, Expresso is bloody fast and can glide, which is great, like you can skip chunks of the level. There's just one tad issue. Expresso can defeat enemies, which makes losing him 100%, which, yeah, that ain't good, but still he's a pretty fun animal buddy to use. It's just that it's really easy to lose him. At number 2 is Winky. Winky can jump high and damage invincible enemies like zingers just by jumping on them, which is good. My only issue is that he's a bit slow, but he's still good. And at number 1 is of course Rambi. Rambi is pretty much the tank running fast while taking down enemies. In some levels, actually making you keep him is like a fun extra challenge. Like, it's hard to keep him, but there's a reward for keeping him for a long time. Now, one thing people remember of this game are the famous minecart levels. Even though there's only 2 of them, and somehow we got an entire roller coaster based off of this in Nintendo Land. Okay. I mean, they are slightly different. One of them you jump with the minecart, and the other one you jump out of the minecart. So, I guess that's unique. But yeah, they're overall just kind of more challenging levels, and that's about it. And now we go on to the level themes and game gimmicks. Now, there's 33 levels in the game, with 4 of them being water levels, so we're just gonna throw them out. Now, with the remaining 29 levels, there's 10 types of level themes. And while that would seem like they would be overall equally split off, there's a small issue. There's 3 level themes: the cave, the mineshaft, and the boardwalk level themes. And with these 3, they all basically give off the same vibe. Now, that itself isn't really an issue. I mean, there's the jungle and forest themes, which kind of also give off the same vibe. But there's one tad issue. Because if we combine these 3, the amount of levels that these 3 level themes take up adds up to 15 levels. That's more than half of the platforming levels. I mean, literally, the later half of this game basically only contains these type of levels mainly, which, to be honest, kind of becomes boring after a while. And it's not even like they're the best ones, because like there's like the crystal theme, like a really beautiful one, and it only appears once. What do you mean there's only one level with this theme? So yeah, that kind of sucks. But here's the thing, even with all that, the levels are good. I mean, highlights for me is like Stop and Go Station, Blackout Station, Treetop Town, and many others. The soundtrack is also amazing. I mean, there are some standouts from this game. And basically throughout the entire video, you've been listening to the OST of this game. Highlights from the OST are like Aquatic Ambience, Forest Frenzy, Treetop Rock, and Ice Cave Chant, to name a few. Now, one of the things I'm not the biggest fan of this game is the way to 100% the game. You see, of course you have to beat all the levels, but also each level has multiple bonus areas that are just behind some random freaking walls, or there's a barrel that just kind of leads to them. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I wouldn't mind this actually. Yeah, sure, it's kind of bullshit hard to find them, but I wouldn't mind it if the bonus rooms themselves were interesting, because all they are just basic nothing minigames where you get extra lives. That's it. The only one of these type of levels that I like are the claptrap levels, where you get to, well, bounce on claptraps, which have like a big ass HP, and it progressively gets faster. And you know what? That is a fun minigame, but it's the only one that actually is interesting. And like, there is literally one case of a bonus room where there's a bonus room. Like, you know, you threw a barrel at a random wall, like, you know, how it usually is, and you do the minigame. But here's the thing, within this bonus room, there's a bonus room. Yeah, in order to access that bonus room, you have to land 1 banana on all those crates, you get a barrel, and you throw it at that wall without touching the gray metal thing for some reason. Like, who the heck thought of this? And even then, trying to find these locations is already, like, bullshit hard. Like, the only way to know some of these is from Cranky Kong, who does tell you some of their locations. But for the rest, you can only use a guide, let's be honest. There is no way you can find these somehow. And you know how we're talking about a segment of the game that I'm not the biggest fan of? Let's talk about the most infamous part of this game, the bosses. You know why they're infamous? Because they're a freaking joke. First boss, very naughty. He's just a big Goomba that you jump on 5 times. He dead. Second boss, Master Neki Jr. All you do is that you dodge his nuts, and then you jump on his head. He dead. Third boss, Queen Bee. Okay, admittedly speaking, Queen Bee is probably the best boss that isn't the final boss. I mean, it can be quite fun throwing barrels at Queen Bee and then, dodging her rage attack. I mean, that's fun. Anyways, fourth boss, really naughty. He's just a reskin of very naughty, but now he can be invincible after you jump on him with his big jump attack. Amazing. Fifth boss, the worst of them, Boss Dum Drum. He's just an enemy gauntlet with him occasionally slamming down. I mean, literally, after you defeat the final wave of enemies, he literally just kills himself, so, yeah. And sixth boss, Master Neki Sr. He's just junior, but he spits more nuts. How the heck did this happen? I mean, okay, at least researching it basically showed that apparently by the end of production, Donkey Kong Country was kind of in a rush state, so because Rareware didn't have all the bosses thought of, they just decided, let's just have big versions of the enemies and call it a day. That's why literally 2 of the bosses are just reskins. But the reason why this also confuses me, because the final boss is actually pretty good, which is King K. Rool, the king of the Kremlings, and he's basically just a 3-wave-long gauntlet. He throws his crown, and you jump on him when he does that. Simple, right? Well, Wave 1, he progressively walks faster between the throwing points. Wave 2, he does a big jump and hopes for the best, and also causes cannonballs to fall down in a tricky way. Then it seems like you defeated him and the credits roll, but oopsie daisy, it was fake. And the third phase, he starts hopping like the Easter Bunny.
Little bunny foo-foo hopping through the forest.
And then after all that trouble, you get to defeat him, getting all your banana back. In conclusion, Donkey Kong Country 1 is an all-time classic and a great platformer. But to be honest, it's the weakest of the original trilogy. It's still like an 8 out of 10 game, don't get me wrong. It's just that there are slight issues that make it weaker compared to 2 and 3 to me. At least I think 3 was better than 1. Which is why I'm actually announcing that this is the first part of a trilogy of videos for the DKC trilogy of games on the SNES. So stay tuned for the review of DKC 2 Diddy Kong's Quest. In the meantime, I hope you have a great dinner, and I'll see ya later.